Well, hello. This is Karin Zoe Lee, and you're listening to Lotus Moon Productions. Welcome to the Wrestling Wrantz Project. Whatever the promotion, we're here to learn and discuss. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the next 45 minutes of wrestling discussion with your host, Shugo Hanasaki.
Welcome back to the Wrastlin Wrantz Project, and welcome to the season premiere as well. It's been a couple of months since we have chatted wrestling on here. I've been focusing on my other music projects that you can find on our SoundCloud, Instagram, or even Spotify. But as you can see, there's a new image, there's a new background on YouTube. It looks nice and fresh. Furniture's been moved right around again. Man, it's just been a crazy couple of months of wrestling, but with the music artists lately, I've been interviewing a lot of synthwave, synth pop, retro 80s artists, that type of style. If you know what I mean, it sounds very similar to new disco and stuff like that. And I even made a fun radio show that hosts 8 synth pop tracks twice a month on Sundays. It's been extra busy here at LMP, so if you love synth music or you're just looking for a new electronic artist to listen to, then please check out my interviews with some lovely, lovely people. And check out the radio show too. You never know what you might be missing out on. But we're looking forward as we start season 3 of the Wrastlin Wrantz Project, and joining us to kick off the celebration, who is a guest I've had on a few times now, and he's always a pleasure to have and discuss wrestling with. So with that being said, let us give a warm welcome to Conrad from Everything Pro Wrestling. How's it going today?
It is going good. It feels good to be back on talking some good old-fashioned wrestling, as you would say.
Yeah, it does. It really does. I mean, some things happened while Wrastlin Wrantz wasn't around, and I mean, there was a lot of debuts, there was a lot of surprises, there was a lot of changes at various promotions around the world. Like, we have Ring of Honor closing now, possibly temporary, possibly for forever. We don't know. Impact just came off their Bound for Glory, and Moose came out champion, which was crazy. WWE's moving on towards Survivor Series now. The Crown Jewels situation is over. The belt swap had to happen. And I will say, though, on record, that Raw last night was actually pretty decent. And AEW is full of surprises as we continue to learn. So, and of course, the one thing that I did want to bring up first as we start this conversation off was NXT 2.0. I wanted to know your thoughts about it. It's been on now for, a couple of months now?
Has it been that long?
I can't even remember. I think maybe it's been a month, maybe it's been 2. I know Halloween Havoc was a lot of fun. I will give that. That was good. I enjoyed that. But what do you think about the new NXT?
Oh, I wish you could see my face right now. I'm like doing the face rub, move my glasses out of the way. I don't know how I feel about it. It's weird. Okay, so like, that's how I feel about it. Like, that's just a literal emotion coming out of me. Like, there are things that I like. I like Braun Breaker.
Yeah.
Hashtag call him Steiner. I forgot to tweet that today, but it will come out. Like, hashtag call him Steiner, please.
I agree.
That just pisses me off. It's a little thing, though. So, not only that, but they did everything so weird from the initial, episode. First, really bright. Cool, I get it. You introduce so many characters that I'm just kind of cherry picking who I like and who I don't like. I guess, you know what? It'll be interesting to hear who your favorites are too. So I mentioned Braun Breaker. I like him. I actually like Von Wagner too, but Von Wagner is a terrible name.
Yeah, it is.
Who else do we have on this show that I was a fan of? Is it Tony D'Angelo?
Oh yeah, the guy that is very
Hey, I wouldn't say too much. Here, take this 20. Don't say too much. All right.
Yeah. Kind of it.
He actually went to school near me. I live near University of Buffalo, so he was on the wrestling team for it. Yeah, that's pretty dope. I had no idea who he was when he came out, but I looked up the info on him and I was like, oh, that's dope. He went to school near me. I'm trying to think of who else that I like out of the newer guys here. Throw some names out if you have someone that I haven't said.
Yeah, there's some. I mean, there's the North American champion, of course, Carmelo Hayes.
He was with the last crew, so yeah, I like Odyssey Jones too.
Odyssey Jones, I do like Odyssey Jones. I see some good things coming from him, and I know Dexter Lumis was there before, so that doesn't count. And Johnny Gargano, of course, was there. Kushida was there. Kyle O'Reilly was there. LA Knight was there before. I'm trying to think.
How some of these people didn't get called up too, mind blowing.
Yeah, well, it's really interesting when it comes to 2.0 because like you, I've been cherry picking everything and picking up things that I like and don't like, and it was such a sudden change. Now, don't get me wrong, I actually quite like the whole change with Mandy Rose, Toxic Attraction, Tag Team Championships, Mandy Rose being the champion. I didn't expect her to get it off Raquel so fast. I figured Raquel would probably keep it for a little bit longer. But yeah, like I like the new gimmick with Toxic Attraction and everything around it, but and I understand the changing of colors and everything, but it doesn't even feel like the same show. And I don't mean to say that in a good, I'm meaning that in a bad way. It doesn't feel like the NXT that I've come to love over the years. It's almost like, in the intro where we have that color splash over the white canvas kind of thing in the intro. Well, it's kind of like they did that to my brain. Like they just splashed all of this new stuff to the point it feels like a brand new promotion. And whenever that happens, whenever I'm getting into a new promotion, it takes a while for me to invest, even if there are people there that I know from other promotions. So we could take that, for example, and say, Tommaso Ciampa is currently the NXT champion. He could, he's one of the people who I know. So that helps me, lean into things certain ways, or Kushida or LA Knight, stuff like that, or Pete Dunne, seeing him, or Johnny Gargano. But when all of these new names are there, it's really overwhelming. And I do agree with Braun Breaker, or was it Bronson Rex-Steiner? Is that how you pronounce it?
He was going to be Rex Steiner originally, then they switched his name to Braun Breaker.
Yeah. It's totally weird. And there's some cool women in prospects I can see coming up.
Another person I like that we didn't mention, I want to give him his props because I didn't like the gimmick at first.
What's that?
Joe Gacy.
Who's Joe Gacy again?
He does the weird I don't want to get political on here. He does the gimmick to where he's the everyone should be included, and I'm not going to use my male privilege and all that stuff.
Yes. Okay, he's a hoot and a half. He's something special. He is.
Right?
Yeah, him coming out and everything and acting like such an ass, but at the same time he's being as passive aggressive as possible, but also just we can end this in this way and that way. Or I'm not going to do this. Yeah, I didn't like it at first either. I was with you on that one, but then over time I was like, this guy.
And Parker Bordeaux, he's Harlan now. I like him too. Even though they had him dressing up like Michael Myers, like the previous week, he shaved his head bald. He was the guy who looked like Brock Lesnar that they had signed with all the tattoos and stuff, and then he shaved his head all the way down.
Oh, I can't remember. See, I can barely remember half.
Yeah, look him up afterwards. He's a beast. He's gonna probably be something. I don't know. It's just weird how they do this, man. I just don't. I'm not feeling it, bro. I'm gonna be honest. This feels like Raw, but it's just shorter, and the guys are less experienced, and it reminds me of. I don't want to even say early days of NXT because that was really good too. I want to say this reminds me of NXT, the original concept of it, when it was a TV show for people to, run around. I feel like they're experimenting with everything. It feels like a true developmental again.
Yeah, that's it. It does. And I think that was the goal of WWE to begin with, because once, the Wednesday Night Wars ended and there was a clear winner of the Wednesday Night Wars, I think it was that they were like, okay, well, let's just kind of bank on the fact that everybody believes we're developmental and we'll just go down that road anyway. So, I mean, and if they come off developmental, then they'll be treated like developmental. And then all the viewership and all that stuff will make more sense then, because it's we're getting lower viewership because we're developmental. I think it's just an excuse. But NXT should never have gone back to quote unquote developmental. Back, I think it was a couple of years ago now, where NXT had that amazing invasion episode on SmackDown with Survivor Series, because
you're in Buffalo.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and
I did not go to that show though, for the record.
It sucks, man, because that would have been a wicked show. I mean, but just the fact that just the fact that that happened, and it was a mistake for it to happen because of the plane ride and certain things that didn't work well with Saudi Arabia, that it turned into be one of the best SmackDown episodes ever, and it made NXT look legit. It made NXT look strong, and every Survivor Series post that, I wanted to see Raw versus SmackDown versus NXT. That's what I wanted to see, because I felt NXT by themselves had the division, they had the roster, they had the talent to be able to go toe to toe with SmackDown and Raw. And then they got too busy and they kept focusing on what the other company was doing continually, which then led to, unfortunately, their downfall. And I mean, when you have Bruce Pritchard and Kevin Dunn and Vince McMahon now making the choices in NXT, I guess Triple H does have a say and Shawn Michaels still has a say, but at the end of the day, it's Vince that says, this is the way we're doing it. So it's no longer Triple H's baby anymore, essentially.
Yeah, it was kind of Triple H's like own personal indie. I think the best formula for them was when they had the 1 hour. It was so easy to watch. Like, it always left me wanting more. I'm like, oh, damn it, I wish this was still longer. I was really getting into the episode. And the peak for me was kind of the times when it was like Aleister Black was trying to figure out who attacked him in the parking lot. And, Nikki knew the secret. And, everybody's running around things. It's just chaos. I love that.
Sanity was there.
Regal feels like, I don't know, it feels watered down now.
Yeah, exactly. I get that too. Like Regal, when he was GM, like he's still GM, but back then, even a couple of years ago, it was like Regal's the GM. You don't mess with William Regal. It was like he had a new lease on his character. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And now it's just like, yeah, he's watered down again. And I mean, they do have excellent people there, but I mean, if all the rumors and news things are true, they're looking for a very set, athletic demeanor when it comes to their wrestlers now, they're superstars. And unfortunately, the people who are smaller get as much airtime as they would have before NXT 2.0.
I don't even think that's the problem, though. I really think the main issue is the fact that they're looking for gimmicks now and accessories for each person, if that makes any kind of sense. Like, have you noticed now, go back to Raw for a second, look at some of the new people they called up. Austin Theory, he's doing the selfies with everything. He's got his name, his letter shaved into his head. Keith Bearcat Lee has the rah when he first comes out. Now that that was a terrible
I hate it
terrible roar, but they all have these gimmicks now. Like, what was my man with? What was his name now with Scarlett Bordeaux? Karrion Kross. He came out with all that leather stuff on. I'm like, he looks like an action figure. Like, he looks like a Kaw from the video games. Like, you would make the created wrestler, and it's like, oh, okay, cool. You're the Demon Slayer or whatever.
Honestly, from my point of view, he looked like some poor man's wish list BDSM thing.
The safe word is banana.
Yeah, exactly. With Karrion Kross, it's like when I want this match to end, I'll give you the safe word.
Oh my goodness!
I was just starting to get behind Karrion Kross, though, right? And then when he got brought up without Scarlett, and I was like, the whole thing is just gone. And then his theme gets changed, and and while I am kind of digging this new tapping into a different side of Damian Priest with the light and the dark, I loved everything they had with Damian Priest, with the arrow, the archery, like the shooting at the screen and the flames coming up. I thought he was complete already, but they had to completely change him.
Archery no more, right?
Yeah, and then with the whole Bearcat Keith Lee, I get where it's paying respect to, but Keith Lee didn't need it. He was already loved by pretty much everybody, and he had an amazing theme to boot, and he's a former NXT and North American champion at the same time. So it's like, why are you treating him this way? And right before the season premiere of Raw and SmackDown started, they showed the where everybody was, essentially, the top 5 people next to each champion, and Keith Lee I think it's Keith Lee and Karrion Kross are both in the mid card. How are they kids, especially Keith Lee? The guy can do amazing things that any person having, like, if Keith Lee was any company's world champion, for, give him time, don't just put the titles on him and then take them off of him a month and a half later for him to get, because that's what happened.
I did think Keith Lee's style wasn't going to be manageable though for the main roster for the long term.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, some of the things he did, I was like, I wouldn't want him to keep doing that stuff for the long term for his own health. And things feel more special. Like if Keith Lee only does his dives when it's the big pay-per-views or something, it just means more. Like I used to look forward to WrestleMania because Undertaker might do the dive over the top rope because he's just gonna go all out for Mania,
Which is crazy, by the way, for a man his size. And Roman Reigns does it too.
Yeah, it's just a beast thing that you love to see. You can't do it every night though, and sometimes I think people begin to expect that.
Yeah.
And I guess this is maybe I could transition this. Yeah, NXT was Triple H's own like Ring of Honor, and he cherry picked from it. And now NXT is no more, and we have NXT 2.0. I just hope that it gets better and it's something that I enjoy. Right now, I could tell you I'm kind of meh on it. Like if I miss it, I miss it. That's how I feel right now. I'm just like, okay.
That's my opinion too when it comes to NXT 2.0. I'm like I was definitely tuning into Halloween Havoc for sure. I wasn't gonna miss that whether I recorded it or whether I checked it out later or whatever. I was always gonna tune into that because it's Halloween Havoc, just memories. And also the card looked pretty decent and it was a good night of wrestling. It's no longer AEW is over. Now I gotta go watch NXT. It's NXT's on tonight. Okay, well I'll watch it maybe. I don't know.
Can we kayfabe your audience? We're recording this during NXT.
Yeah, we totally are. Yeah, we are recording this on a Tuesday evening during NXT, and that just goes to show that, I could totally watch it after we're done recording, but I don't feel I need to or want to, or if I do, it's in the background and I'm not paying attention to it, like you are right now.
Yeah, I'm more looking forward to Chucky.
Yeah, exactly. Chucky was gone. Halloween Havoc. Yeah, that was funny. But they have an interesting women's division with the new NXT 2.0, which I look forward to seeing. I mean, NXT still has a crazy women's division despite a lot of people being moved around or leaving and stuff like that. But yeah, mentioning Ring of Honor there, how do you feel about Ring of Honor and the announcement? That's a big shock to the wrestling scene.
I'm hurt, man, because I actually bought Ring of Honor tickets right before this, and the event got canceled because of COVID, obviously. Yeah, man, Ring of Honor was like a passion thing that I kind of always went to the events, and I really, really liked the show. We were getting like a lot of those Global War shows, so like you would see the DVD versions of them, or you'd see highlights of it on Ring of Honor television. But I was at those shows where it'd be like night one in Buffalo, New York, we're going to have Okada versus Evil, or, Evil and Sonata versus the Briscoes. I would go to those shows and see them.
Oh, that's awesome.
Cody, like Cody and Hangman Page. I was at the show, I think, where Cody injured his knee before AEW had started. I don't know if you remember that, where Cody hurt his knee for a little bit.
Yeah, he had a cane, didn't he?
Yeah. I was at that show when that happened. I don't know when it happened or how, because at the end I thought everything was higgledy-piggledy, but apparently I was wrong.
And how many amazing wrestlers have come out of Ring of Honor too, like Samoa Joe, Bryan Danielson, frickin' Adam Cole, and like so many wrestlers have come out of Ring of Honor. You know what I mean?
Yeah, crazy story. I met well, I got a couple crazy Ring of Honor stories when it comes to it. Tyler Black, aka Seth Rollins now. I met him when he was like doing dark matches to see if he was going to come up to the main roster.
Oh,
and
wow.
I saw him the one day and I was like, dude, you're absolutely amazing. I could probably tell, like, if you give me the time, I'll tell you some really quick stories about Ring of Honor people, because I've talked to a lot of them from my old previous job. And he was really cool, really gracious and everything. He was like, yeah, man, I think he was like, I think that we're going to do some great things here. And I was just like, yeah, he was really like humble about everything. Jay Lethal and the Briscoes, we actually kind of became like, they were probably my closest thing to wrestlers that really knew me. They were late a couple of times for whatever they were trying to do. and I actually helped them out a lot on several occasions, like to say like, hey, these guys got to get on their flight. They called me to, whatever. And they were the coolest dudes, man. Like they had always just came in, did their damn thing. Very nice. They were like, hey, man, you watched the pay-per-view last night? And they would be surprised that I could tell them everything that happened. I'm like, oh, yeah, it was a good show, man. Oh, that's dope, man. That's really cool. And we had some mutual friends and things like that. And they were dope. Rhett Titus one time was surprised I knew who he was. He thought I was just some jerk. And then I was like, hey, man, you had a good match the other night I was there. And he was like, oh, that's dope, man. I didn't know. Yeah, cool. Small world, man. Ring of Honor is a great place to get into wrestling. Like, if you only go to a WWE show, I feel like you're just a part of the bigger picture. And that's just to show the amazement of how great WWE is, that you're just a person in the crowd and you're really not involved in it, but you're seeing a spectacle. When you go to Ring of Honor, you feel a part of the show. Like, you're probably going to have some chest sweat get slapped on you at some point, or someone's crashed into a barricade near you,
Yeah. I've seen that from all the footage that I've seen over the years, where the Ring of Honor, like even when CM Punk signed the contract, like everything, it felt real. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, obviously it was because he signed a contract, but it's CM Punk. There's just so much around Ring of Honor that is reminiscent to so many people. And the interesting thing about Ring of Honor is not only who it's brought out, but how they also handled closing. I think they handled it very honorable, in my opinion. And I mean that pun intended, but
I was thinking that as soon as you said it, I was like, whoa.
Yeah. Well, I think it's true though, because I mean, the second they made the announcement, they said the wrestlers could go anywhere. They said they're going to be, but they held on to all of the wrestlers throughout the pandemic because they didn't want them to lose out on money or a job or anything like that. So it was pretty honorable on how they treated the situation, in my opinion.
Yeah, I thought they did some very nice things. Like, if you've ever went to a show, you would see Joe Koff walking around, and he would like ask me and my friends, like, hey, how you guys enjoying the show tonight? Oh, it's really good. You guys doing some of the meet and greets? Like, he was just a nice guy. Like, he would just have, little conversation, and you're like, yeah, man, that's cool.
Well, yeah, that's just it. When wrestlers or people in charge or anybody part of the promotion gets into that much of, I guess, gets that comfortable with the audience, it makes you feel more comfortable. You're like, oh my gosh, yeah, this guy actually cares, or this person actually cares, whomever they are. And it brings everything together more. And it also shows that person is taking notes at what's going on in their own promotion and making it, the best thing that they can give. So yeah, it's I always love hearing stories about that when whether it be the person putting on the event or wrestlers from the event, or like are as humble like that or helping out like that. It's amazing. And I've heard so many good things come out of Ring of Honor, and that message, that announcement came just out of nowhere. Like all of a sudden.
I wasn't surprised. Like, they handled like the pandemic treatment of their talent so well. Out of all the companies, I would give them the gold star for who handled it the best. It was probably them. They just took care of everybody and everything, made sure stuff was clean, kept people quarantined while they wrestled. Yeah, man, it's just going to be sad. I guess, do we have the truth talk about Ring of Honor, though, and what happened?
I don't actually know. I mean, I just know that all I know is the announcement that they put out.
Big mistake, in my opinion, was they didn't sign the Bucks and Cody. They had the New Japan agreement, so Kenny was going to stay over there and do what he was going to do. But to me, NXT and AEW were the nails in the coffin that began to hurt them really badly.
Yeah, you're not wrong there. With NXT, with W being behind WWE's juggernaut, and then AEW essentially being the second biggest wrestling company since WCW. All of that attention, it probably hurt a lot more than just Ring of Honor. A lot of Indian promotions probably suffered from that big of a juggernaut coming in all of a sudden in the last few years. But I've heard that, not just with the Young Bucks and Cody, but I've heard about the presence of AEW. Now, obviously, it wasn't intentional or anything like that. But when you do bring in a juggernaut like that, it's like with anything. It's like if you bring in a big department store into a small town, what's going to happen to the small shops, right? Some of them might go out of business, some might not. But you know what I mean, right?
Yeah, you just got to go. And I think that's eventually what happened. I think Ring of Honor was too stagnant in their growth as well. They never really got past that DVD company that put on shows. I know they were owned by a cable network, but honestly, can you watch Ring of Honor where you are?
If I use my VPN, I don't think I can find it in Canada. I could be wrong.
Let me say this. What time does it come on?
Oh, I have no idea. I haven't. The last time I watched.
That's my point. There's no destination for Ring of Honor.
Yeah, the last time I watched actually Ring of Honor, it's been a couple of years. I've just stuck to like people sending me YouTube matches and stuff like that, and it's like, oh, you gotta watch this. Oh, you gotta watch this. Oh, you gotta see this. And I was like, all right, I'll watch that. So, but yeah, that's pretty much the last couple of years of Ring of Honor have been nothing but YouTube. So, yeah, but yeah, it's definitely a shame with everything that Ring of Honor has brought to the table, and I dare say that, you know, there's a discussion to be had where if Ring of Honor didn't have the stars like CM Punk, Bryan Danielson, Adam Cole, Samoa Joe, etc., 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 because I could go on forever, you know, I could list so many, but if Ring of Honor didn't set those guys up like Tyler Black, for example, you know, and they went through those stages, they might not be the people that they are today.
True.
Like
and we may not have an AEW. We may not have NXT the way it is. Wrestling would look very different without Ring of Honor. Yeah. They've been around for a long time.
Yeah, they have. Absolutely. And I mean, they've had special appearances by so many people around the globe as well. And pardon me. The last time I did fully watch Ring of Honor was when they did the Super show with New Japan there a couple of years back or 3 years back or something.
Madison Square Garden one?
Yeah, I think that's what. Yeah, that was it. That was it.
Yeah, that was the show. That was the show to me where I realized like the party was over.
Yeah, because I was watching that, and the Ring of Honor matches were good, but the New Japan matches were solid. Like it was. I
thought Ring of Honor just let New Japan steal the show, and I was like, yeah, that's not good.
Yeah, exactly. That was it. I was like, I thought this was Ring of Honor's special event, and it's like I came out of that thinking, no, Ring of Honor didn't do too well. Like, well, you know, I was really invested in the New Japan matches way more than I was Ring of Honor. But I enjoyed the whole event, you know, as a whole. It was fun. It was interesting to see it. And all the back and forth of New Japan and Ring of Honor. I thought it was a really cool mix. And I was looking forward to seeing something like that again. But it's a shame. It's a shame, man. It really is a shame. And my heart goes out to everybody at Ring of Honor. But I can tell you, thank you, Ring of Honor. Thank you for giving us so many wrestlers and definitely changing the game.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what they do, I guess, after the first quarter of 2022.
Yeah, it'll definitely be interesting. Now, with roughly about 15, 20 minutes left of the podcast, I mean, there's WWE, there's Survivor Series, there's coming up, there's AEW, there's Full Gear coming up. Where do you want to go?
You guide the way, brother. This is your show. You host, I guessed.
All right, fair enough. Okay, well, let's dive into the TBS Championship on AEW side of things, because I think the women's tournament and the TBS Championship and the move to TBS is actually quite interesting. Come January 5th, I believe it is.
Yes.
And while Rampage is still going to be staying on TNT, Dynamite will be airing on TBS, which is a bigger network and will potentially bring in more viewership. But at the same time, we're going to have a second women's title. So the first thing we'll start off with is, who do you want to win that title?
Jay Cargill.
You stole the words
to win it.
Stole the words out of my mouth.
I'm a Jay Cargill fan. I think Britt Baker is destined at Revolution to face Thunder Rosa in what I'm calling to be the first women's steel cage match in AEW. So you heard it here first. That's my idea for what's going to happen with them. So I don't think Thunder Rosa needs this right now. But as far as the TBS championship goes, I just feel like it fits Jade Cargill. She's the perfect person to have it right now. She's got the look. I think the blue, and like when I watched her entrance, I was like astonished a little bit just watching it. I'm like, dude, she looks like a star. She looks like someone important. She's got it down. Give her some wrestling ability, which I think having the championship on her and putting her in the ring with some people who can, guide her through a match, or she can guide through a match. It could be a lot of fun.
I couldn't have said it better myself. I felt everything that you felt. She is a star. She looks like a star. She comes off like a star. She's getting better and better at wrestling in the ring. Like, look at her. She's ripped as hell. I love her theme. I love the guitar in the theme. Like, it's just, it's a powerful, but it's empowering, but it's also sexy, And she comes out, and again, that blue, and the TBS championship's got that blue to it, right? So I felt, have Jade Cargill have the TBS championship. If Britt Baker is still is the women's champion by January 5th, then so be it, whatever. But just have Jade Cargill go through a rampage, no pun intended. But have her go through a tear, have with that TBS championship. I think the finals are going to be Jade Cargill and Ruby Soho.
Yes.
I think that I really do. I think it's a toss up between those two characters. With Ruby Soho and Jade Cargill, but I do think Jade's got it. I really, really do, and I want to see her win. And like, if Ruby Soho beats her, I'm not gonna be upset or anything or like that. But it just seems to fit. It seems like it's been designed for her. Like, and I don't mean that as in like, oh, they just designed a championship for this one woman. I mean that she's got it all. Like, Jade Cargill has it all, and having that come out as your women's champion. And people go, who the hell is that? Like, she really does look like she's cut out from a comic book or like DC, Marvel, Tekken, video game. You name it. She looks like she's from Soul Calibur. You give her a couple of weapons and there she goes. Like,
yeah.
Jade Cargill is absolutely amazing. I'm glad that we're on the same page about that. But I was curious to see if you had a different shout for the winner. But Jade Cargill is definitely on a tear, and she hasn't lost yet, has she?
No, she's undefeated. I like that they've kept her strong, and they kept her away from Britt Baker as well.
Yeah, exactly that. And because she's undefeated, I don't think she's going to lose in the tournament. I don't think Ruby Soho or whoever is in the finals is going to take that undefeated streak away from her.
Yeah.
So I think she's going to be undefeated, and then she's going to be undefeated as champion, and it's going to last for a while, and then somebody, whomever it may be, is going to beat her for that championship, and it's going to be a big, big deal, whomever it is at the time. Months later, I don't know.
Did you see the Serena Deeb and Hikaru Shida match from last, I think it was Wednesday?
Yes, it was, and I'm so glad that you shouted that out, because that was absolutely amazing match.
I gave that match of the night on my live review of it afterwards. I was like, yo, match of the night, hands down. So good.
They have amazing chemistry together, and to see Serena Deeb come so far, like, I remember the days of her getting shaved with CM Punk, back on, was it SmackDown? I think it was back in 2009 or 8.
Straight Edge Society, yes.
Yeah.
SES.
Yeah, exactly. Straight Edge Society. I remember that. And then she's been on the indie scene for so long, and she's trained so well. And my gosh, she's become an excellent wrestler, which from what I've seen, she's got good chemistry with everybody. And you know what? People may not like what I'm about to say, but Serena Deeb, she kind of reminds me of Charlotte. And what I mean by that is she's got that ability where she has chemistry with everybody she's with in a match. And like, whether you love or hate Charlotte Flair, you can't deny her wrestling ability and her chemistry. Like, even the matches with Charlotte versus anybody, really. Even Charlotte versus Shotzi on SmackDown last week was decent, even though it ended with Charlotte winning. But that's what I like about Serena Deeb, is Serena Deeb can come in there and she can have chemistry with anybody. And Hikaru Shida, again, one of the best women's wrestlers out there, in my opinion.
I think Shida's the most slept on women's wrestler on that roster. I think she had a weird title reign because of the timing of the pandemic and everything else. Yeah. But Shida is great, in my opinion. Like, really someone who people shouldn't sleep on. And I think Shida might be the first person to become champions of both belts. I can see Shida holding both titles first.
Yeah, I could see that too. Yeah, yeah, it could be. It definitely could be Hikaru Shida. That would be interesting. Hikaru Shida is the one. So, are you thinking that Hikaru Shida might be the first woman to take it off Jade Cargill if she wins it?
It could happen. It could, unless you want to tell a story with Ruby. I feel like those are the top two contenders for it, and then I think Serena Deeb would be a great heel champion to follow up with too.
Oh,
there's
man.
potential.
Her heel work there, just at the end after that, she went ballistic, right? And oh man, I thought that was just such a good character. And she's still under NWA, isn't she?
I don't know anymore. I'm confused by that a little bit.
Yeah, with NWA, it's really interesting because we got NWA Mickey James being the Impact or the Impact Knockout Champion. So, which I'll just quickly segue right into Impact Bound for Glory there. Mickey James and Deonna Purrazzo absolutely tore the house down. And personally, I don't think Mickey James should have taken the title right just yet, but I'm not upset about it at all because it was such a good match. I was like, Mickey James, you still have all this left in the tank. You deserve that title, girl. Like, my Lord, what a match.
Yeah, I love that. Was my match of the night, I think, too, for Bound for Glory. They really delivered on that one. Bound for Glory overall was a really good pay-per-view, I thought. If you guys are sleeping on Impact, like I tell people this all the time, some of my friends laugh. Some of them are like, no, I agree. I think Impact is the most consistent wrestling show on right now. If you watch it week after week after week after week, like you'll say, oh, okay, everything makes sense right now. They're flowing.
Yep.
They get how to keep you interested in stuff.
Like even the end of Bound for Glory, spoiler alert for those who haven't seen it, but I mean by now you're bound to see it. Bound to see it. But yeah, I'm just a riot. When it came to Bound for Glory, and I picked Josh Alexander beating Christian Cage because I was like, all right, Christian Cage is AEW. He's got the Impact Championship. He's probably gonna go back to AEW now. Josh Alexander, he used Option C, which is hardly ever used. I love the Option C, by the way. Cashing in the X Division Championship just to have a shot at the World Championship. I love that rule, and I love the elegance of it.
Yeah, when Austin Aries first did it, I was a huge fan of how they did that.
Yeah, it's really elegant. It's really neat, and Impact's got a lot of neat things involved. Like even I forget the name of the match. You probably know it, but when they I think they had it this year. It's when they had all the ropes up in the air. And
oh my goodness, I almost said the Super X. Give me a second. I got to go to YouTube now to know the name of this. It's gonna bug me.
No worries, man. No worries. But the match I'm talking about. But Impact just has so many unique things to them. But at the end of Bound for Glory, and we'll definitely shout out the match when you find it there. But the end of Bound for Glory, Josh Alexander celebrating, having his family in there. I was
Ultimate X, yeah.
And that I think those matches are insane in the best of ways. I think and the people who were in there, I think it's nuts. Like when he was, who had the rope? Was it Josh Alexander? It was like a super Canadian destroyer or something. I don't even know. But
they were tripping.
Yeah, it was nuts. But yeah, at the end of Bound for Glory, the kids were celebrating with Josh Alexander in the ring. The wife was there. It was all perfectly good. I was like, yeah, feel good moment. And then Moose. He wins the gauntlet earlier in the night, and he cashes it in right then and there on his family. And I'm like, oh, Moose. Like, I love Moose. I think Moose is amazing. I whether it be Kenny Omega, whomever he fought, like with EC3 or whatever, I love Moose's character. I love his opening. I love when the lights are down, they just show his shoulders shining. Like, I love the whole aesthetic around Moose. And for him to come out and do that, I was like, oh, you bastard. Oh, but I loved it. I loved the heel work of it. I thought it was phenomenal.
Right. And I'm trying to look up when Moose fought Austin Aries. Think of how long it's been since people were waiting for Moose to get that championship match.
Yeah, exactly. And then he had the TNA championship, but that doesn't really mean anything now. So, but yeah, it's like Moose has been, like, I don't want him to go anywhere. It's like, but like, I don't want him going anywhere near WWE. If he's going to go somewhere, I want him to go towards NWA. I want him to go towards AEW. I want him to go towards like that sort of thing. Like, because I don't think WWE is ever going to get him. And Impact has created an amazing star out of Moose.
Yeah, and Impact's got to find someone too to build around and to build things up from and with.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm happy for Moose. Moose is great, and the Josh Alexander story should be good. He's got the Daniel Bryan story. Now he's got to try to come back from this.
Exactly. Yeah, he had the title for all of 10 seconds, and now there's a huge storyline behind it. It's gotten personal right off the bat. So I'm hooked. I'm rose right into it, and I don't watch Impact every week, but I keep up with it, and I watch their clips on YouTube and stuff like that. So I'm always in the loop of kind of what's going on. And before we segue into one last thing here, I just wanted to shout out to the Inspirations. I was so happy to see them come back. I don't know if you were as happy as I was, but man, they're just perfect together. They really, really are.
I have such a weird relationship with them because, like, on one hand, when they first were in, like, NXT and stuff, I thought Peyton Royce was pretty good, but I thought the act was kind of, like, oh, this is annoying a little bit. Okay, whatever. They're a duo, though. And then when they beat Sasha and Bayley, I was like, this makes no sense. And I just wasn't a fan of them during that time period a little bit. But I also don't like seeing people not get a chance. And I felt like they were never given a chance to do anything.
They weren't. Like, they gave them the tag team belts, and I like in that Elimination Chamber, and I was flipping. I was so happy. I was like, oh my god, yes, they finally got it. Oh my god. Like, I had picked them out of a joke. I don't know if I did a prediction podcast out of it or not, but I can't remember how long ago it was. Maybe 3 years ago now, but I had picked them out of a joke to win because I was like, oh yeah, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's going to be the Iconics. It's going to be the Iconics. And, I was as a joke, but I wanted them to win it, but I was like, no, they're not going to win it. They're not going to win. They're not going to win. And then they won. And then during their tag team run, like tag team championship run, they weren't given the ball. They didn't, like, when Sasha and Bayley got the tag team titles again, they were given the ball. They were given the ball times two. Both of them ended up being double champions at the same time across all the shows. Like, Iconics didn't really get to do anything with it, and they're so in sync, and that's what I love about it is that they've been friends forever. They get each other, and no matter who they're called, the Iconics, the Inspirations, Peyton Royce, doesn't matter. Together they are an excellent tag team, and again, Impact has women's tag team championships, so it was a great place for them to go, and hopefully the AEW and Impact door can open again in the future, and maybe we can have those knockout women championships kind of going back and forth between AEW and Impact or NWA, because there's a few women's teams on AEW, and I'm sure I don't watch NWA enough to know their whole roster, but I'm sure there's something that they can do with that just for even a couple of months. But before we wrap things up, just quick fire out some predictions for Full Gear. I know we still got a couple of episodes to go through. We have tomorrow night. We got next week's episode, which will be the go home show. But I got 6 matches in front of me, and I want to see who you pick.
All right, fire them out.
So we'll start off heavy. We'll start off with Kenny Omega versus Hangman Adam Page for the AEW World Championship.
This is that moment you've been waiting for. This is that piece of chocolate cake that you saw in the morning that they were like, you can't touch until after you eat your dinner. And now it's been 2 years. It's dinner time. It's dinner time. The plates are getting cleaned up. And I think now is the right time to give people their dessert. Give them that Hangman Page chocolate cake. You got to go with Page, I think, in this, man. It's his time. And it tells a great story of where they were. And this is his pay-per-view, technically named after him.
Yeah, that's just it. I've mentioned that a couple of times to people, and they're like, what? And I was like, yeah, Full Gear. It's totally Adam Page's thing. And I agree. That was a great analogy, too. That was a great way to, that chocolate cake after dinner, you're just waiting for it. And we all knew he was going to lose it all out. Well, a lot of us did. A lot of us thought that they were going to pull the trigger then. But then at the same time, I thought, if they're not pulling the trigger at all out, they're definitely going to go all in. With Adam Page at Full Gear. the whole storyline makes sense. It makes beyond sense. And then Kenny Omega can even take a couple of months off, come back later, or even feud with anybody else. It doesn't matter. Like, there's so many people. He could feud with Bryan Danielson again. He could feud with CM Punk. He could feud with anybody. He could go back to face. He could stay heel. I don't know. It doesn't matter. But the roster's wide open for him to work with, and then the roster's wide open for Adam Page to have a million different feuds with. So yeah, I think this is the time to do it. Yeah, I agree. Adam Page for the win. Now this one, Dr. Britt Baker DMD versus Tay Conte for the AEW Women's World Championship. Pardon me, who do you got?
Dr. Britt Baker. I kind of I spoiled it before for what I think is going to happen with Britt. This is leading to her and Thunder Rosa. I feel first ever women's cage match at Revolution. Thunder Rosa's going to have to get back onto her pony. Because think about it. She had a lot of wins built up, and then they just gave her that loss. When I went to the Rochester show, that triple threat loss on Rampage, where Jade Cargill won.
How was it, by the way? How was it there? How was it in person?
Can I swear on here?
Oh, yeah, go for it.
Fucking amazing. It was great. I would recommend anybody go. I had so much fun. It was just different to be there.
Yeah, I imagine. Yeah, it's always different when you look on TV and then you see it in person.
I just had a lot of fun, though. Like, it was cool to just be around wrestling fans that were, like, older. And I don't know, just had a different feel to it for, like, a bigger show than WWE. I can't really describe it. It's like you got to be there.
You felt the passion in the air.
Yeah, you could just feel that everybody, like, I was on TV a couple times. Like, you could see me when Moxley and all those guys came out. Some people had clipped me and then put me on Twitter like, yo, I see you, bro. And I was like, yeah, that's me.
That's awesome. I love it. Yeah. I will definitely get to an AEW show one of these days. Maybe if they come to Canada. Who knows?
But they need to for you guys. I think you guys deserve a pay-per-view if Tony Khan's listening.
Well, if Tony Khan's listening, well, hello, Tony Khan. Why are you listening to such a small podcast? But on another thing, your two of your champions are Canadian. Like, your first
I think he had plans
AEW
to come here though, and the pandemic messed up a lot. Like, the West Coast hasn't gotten a show either. I got a buddy in the West Coast, like Oregon, California area, and he's like, when are we getting our show, man? Like, what's up?
Yeah, well, it's just like, it's funny because not only did the very first person who touched the AEW championship on pay-per-view was Bret Hart. So the very first person who touched it was a Canadian, and then the very first person to win it was Canadian, and now it's being held by another Canadian. So it's like, hey, we're watching here. Bring it up north. I know it's cold at times, especially in the winter, but make it work.
We need our AEW, damn it. But for this match too, I guess I'll say this, for Tay Conti's sake, I think this is a heat check for her. And when and I probably got to explain what I usually mean by that. Heat check is the temperature check, I call it. Let's gauge how hot is she in the ring? Are the fans reacting to her? Does she have something that we can look at? And I think this is kind of like a test saying, like, maybe not the world title right now, but maybe the TBS title. She could be in that mix too. Like, I feel like the TBS title is going to open up a lot of doors for people where it's like, okay, let's see what you can do.
Yeah. That's actually a really good point, and that I like that heat. I like that heat meter to see if the heat moment, to see if she's really being loved by the audience. I mean, I think she's fantastic. The audience seems to like her when she comes out. She's got catchy music, and Anna Jay is definitely over as well with the whole Dark Order thing and BTE and everything like that. So that's gotten over really well. But I'm actually behind you with the whole Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker at Revolution and in Steel Cage. I think that's got a lot of history behind it, and honestly, if there's going to be anybody to dethrone Britt Baker, it's going to be Thunder Rosa.
Yeah, you gotta have that be a battle.
Yeah, and there's some good history there, and my God, do they have good chemistry like that?
And do you know why I say this? What is the one thing in every Britt Baker title defense that you've noticed that they play to? It's the numbers game every time.
Oh, well, yes, of course. Yeah, Jamie.
And eventually you're not going to be able to beat the numbers.
Yeah, and Rebel, not Reba.
I love that gimmick.
Me too. Now, what about the Lucha Brothers versus FTR? Because I didn't expect FTR to get the AAA Mega Championships. Or the AAA Tag Team Championships. Sorry, I get them all confused. There's so many belts going around.
Yeah. Don't worry, MJF I think called them the titles or something. I was like, knock it off.
Oh, by the way, MJ. Just while we're on the AEW discussion, oh my God, MJF, you heartless asshole that AEW totally needs. Like, oh my God, what a heel, what a character.
Yeah.
But Lucha Brothers FTR.
Dude, this is gonna be such a good match. I don't know what you do here. I'm just gonna go with a guess right now at this point. I'm gonna say the Lucha Bros retain just because of based on how title reigns and everything's been. But these guys have the potential to steal the show. FTR is such a great tag team and such a great get for Tony Khan and them. They're just different than everyone else in their styles. Like the Lucha Bros bring the Lucha aspect. The Young Bucks are kind of like that Lucha American wrestling style tag team that's been in Japan. You've got tag teams that came over from Japan. You've got so many great teams right now. And imagine adding a team like the Briscoes in the mix. I want to see the Briscoes versus FTR too. Random thought, I know, but yeah, dude, I'm just gonna go with Lucha Bros just out of pure guess.
Yeah, I do think it's going to be the Lucha Brothers from my point of view as well. Just because the FTR, they just captured the AAA Mega Champion or the triple. See, I did it again. The titles. No, it's really interesting because I want to know where the AAA partnership is lying with AEW right now, because we have Kenny Omega who has the AAA Mega Championship still, and now we have AEW Tag Team who now has the AAA Tag Team Championship. So it's like two of your titles are on another show here. It's like, and by the way, Kenny Omega versus Andrade for the Mega Championship was amazing, and seeing Ric Flair come out was just even crazier. That was really cool. But yeah, I'm with you on Lucha Brothers. Now, speaking of MJF, what Darby Allin versus MJF at Full Gear? Who do you got?
This is another one. Like, bro, you could go either way with this. It depends on the story that you want to tell. If I'm booking this, and I'm going to go with my prediction being if I'm booking this, I go with MJF to get the win. Because I see bigger plans for him first than Darby. Darby's not going to be hurt by a loss. I think MJF would. Darby's got Sting. He's good.
I can see what you mean. Yeah, he's got Sting. Yeah, he's good. Yeah, it's true. And then MJF has Wardlow, and Wardlow has his accountability, which I absolutely died when I first heard that. I loved it. I was like accountability what? And then accountability buddy, and I was like, oh my God, that needs to be on a t-shirt. It was amazing. Hashtag accountability buddy. My God. But I think I'm going to see Darby getting this one just because of how personal the feud's gotten and how it's gone. Like, MJF can also suffer a loss. I mean, he's only lost a few times. So in his entire AEW career. So if he loses here, I don't think it's going to affect him much. It's just going to be the guy with the mouth getting his just desserts. So yeah, in my opinion, it could go either way, but I'm going to pick Darby. So that's at least where we're different on. Which is always fun.
Okay. I just feel like MJF's going to be world champion in one of these title reigns coming up soon. Like, I don't know what's going to happen afterwards, but I feel like MJF is going to be the world champion sooner than we think.
Well, that's just it, I think. And you might have just heard this here first. So another exclusive on this podcast. But I think and I think he will, Adam Page beats Kenny Omega, I think MJF's going to be the one to dethrone Adam Page.
Okay, I'm with you. And I think I know who dethrones MJF after.
Who's that?
CM Punk. I'm calling the order.
Yep, I like it. Oh, yeah. See, fantasy booking's so much fun.
but I'm starting to think these long title reigns can't last too much longer anymore.
Yeah, well, that's it. They got to spice some stuff up. You know, some title reigns got to be short, some title reigns got to be long. So it'll be interesting. And then the final match that we have here that we don't know the outcome for, but I do believe Jon Moxley will defeat Orange Cassidy tomorrow night on Dynamite. especially with his new kind of attitude. That promo that he cut last week was gold, or the week before when he was talking about his little baby grabbing onto his finger, and he was like, "This is the only thing that matters." And man, I loved it. I loved it. But I think it's going to be Jon Moxley versus Bryan Danielson. I truly, truly believe that. But it's going to be interesting on who wins that, because it's going to matter based on Kenny Omega or Adam Page winning. And if Jon Moxley wins, right now he's kind of in that neutral but also chaotic, not, I wouldn't say heel fashion. He's just,
I think he might turn heel.
Yeah, well, that's it. He's almost there. He's hanging on, But also at the same time, it's Bryan Danielson versus either Hangman Adam Page or Kenny Omega. So there's so interesting ways we can go about this. So I don't know, man. Who do you got?
I think it's going to come down to Danielson and Moxley, and then that just depends on what you want the match to be. I think we're going to get another like a winner is coming type show in December, and that's when the title match will happen. Or we're going to get what's the word I'm looking for? That New Year's special show. And I feel like you could do Danielson and Hangman on there, or you could do Moxley and Hangman. That could be really good too.
Yeah, especially if Moxley is in I don't give a shit mode and he beats the crap out of Adam Page, right?
Yeah, and you know what's weird? I feel like Kingston's in that mode too now.
Oh man, Kingston and CM Punk! I can't wait to see that. That's gonna be gross. Like
dude, that promo was really good because I like the aspect of Punk was there cutting an interview, and it was supposed to be like one of those happy-go-lucky interviews. No one was gonna interrupt it. I'm like, what are they doing? And then all of a sudden, you just hear Moxley not Moxley, excuse me, Kingston screaming at the top of his lungs, like, "Why'd you ring the bell? I didn't tap out." And he's just going after the referee. And then Punk's back there smiling during his promo. He's like, "What are you smiling at?" Because, when you're pissed off like that, you're going to blame everyone around, like thinking they're laughing at you or whatever. And then he knocks the mic out of Shivani's hands. Shivani's scared. And then all these people get in between him. I like that, like Ruby and all these people came out to push him back. And then Punk's like, "Yeah, you want to go to sleep again? I saw what just happened to you out there." So he's talking shit now. And it's just like, oh, it's on. And I love it.
And CM Punk's line about him being disappointed.
Yeah.
That
like
was
a dad.
Yeah, just like a dad. It's like that's the worst thing you could say. It's like, it's not that I'm mad at you right now, son. I'm just really disappointed. Aw, right in the feels, right in the heart,
Right.
So yeah, that's the worst thing you want a parent to ever tell you, is that I'm disappointed in you. Yeah, man. As always, though, it's been a brilliant chat with you, and we'll wrap things up there. And thanks to everyone who continues to listen to the podcast. If you want to hear your voice on here, simply send me a PM on any of my social media. But before I pimp out mine, can you pimp out yours at Everything Pro Wrestling?
Pimp juice. No, I'm just kidding. Thank you first for having me on. It's always fun to come on to your podcast, talk wrestling with you. We always have a good time, I feel like, just talking wrestling. I just wanted to say that as a friend.
I appreciate that, man.
Right now, you guys can catch me. YouTube is my kind of favorite platform out of all of them right now, where we just hit 1.5K. So shout out to everybody who has subscribed, checked us out on there. If you could, show us some love. Type in Everything Pro Wrestling. You guys will see the EPW logo with the microphone, black and red, with a ring behind it. Come in, show us some love, man. We greatly appreciate it. Social medias, you can find us at EPW Show on like Twitch, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, wherever else. Just type in EPW Show. And Everything Pro Wrestling on Facebook. We've been getting a lot of views on that lately with just like sharing articles and wrestling news for people to find. So that's been really good for the Facebook official page. And we have a private group page on there as well if you want to come in and talk pro wrestling. I know it's not for everybody. There are disagreements and arguments in there. I'm not going to lie to you and be like, "Oh, no, it's a happy family." It's not sometimes. There's people arguing over stupid stuff, but it happens. We try to clean it up and keep everything friendly in there.
Well, sounds good, man. So definitely go check that out. And thanks for sharing that. And by the way, congratulations on the 1.5. That's awesome, man. I really appreciate that. I love hearing stuff like that. I love hearing success stories.
Man.
Go ahead.
You. No, I was gonna say just thank you, man. I got a lot of it. I think I got really close to it once I did that Owen Hart video. I did like Owen Hart coming to the AEW games. Worked masterfully. Yes. Like it was great.
Also, before we wrap things up there, I just want to say I shouted to CM Punk, even though he never has ever probably listened to my radio show ever. But I wanted to shout out something really interesting here that I thought everybody might find interesting. So CM Punk returns to professional wrestling in August, and I did a special 20-minute episode at like 3 a.m. because I meant to do it earlier on and I completely forgot. So right before bed, right after Rampage aired, I recorded a 20-minute special, and I got like 10 times the viewership that I ever had in any wrestling video or video anything, like any wrestling coverage, any wrestling SoundCloud, anything. It was nuts. So the fact that that's how much ripple, like that's how much of a ripple that man had on the wrestling industry when he came back, which is nuts. That something as small as my podcast got a huge spike in interest because people just wanted to hear about CM Punk returning. So it's a lot. It's a lot of stats behind one dude.
Yeah, man. He's the shit, man. I'm happy he's back.
Yeah, me too. It's really nice to see him. And as for our socials, you can find all of them at SoundCloud under Lotus Moon Productions, Facebook under Lotus Moon Productions, Twitter under Lotus Moon Prod, Lotus M Productions on Instagram for the independent music side of things, and you can search us on YouTube under Lotus Moon Productions. And if everything goes well with season 3, hopefully I might get on Twitch, and hopefully I'll be on iTunes as well. So look out for that. With that, this has been LMP Wrestling, and we're signing off.